Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Keys of the Castle podcasts. Today, we're going to talk about the new Walt Disney audio animatronic coming to Disneyland soon. It will be at Disneyland. It'll be opening on May 16th, 2025, which is this year. And yeah, to me, that is very, very soon. And it's mind blowing. To me, this new attraction is actually mind blowing for a few different reasons. But yeah, I just wanted to share a bit of some news about this. I'm going to go through a bit of an article which is published by WDWNT, and I will also leave a link to the article in the show notes. So, yeah, first things first, first reactions to this idea, I was a huge mix of excited, very excited, and also a bit worried, kind of just unsure. I really don't know what it's going to be like. I feel like this is the kind of thing that has potential to be hit or miss. Um, when you really get into the business, I suppose, aspect of it, it really does have me questioning um, things. But yeah, personally, if I'm just looking at it in terms of what it could be for me emotionally on a personal level, I think that it could be pretty incredible, to be honest. I think that this idea has potential to, bring people to tears who are really big fans. I don't know. I don't know exactly what it's going to be like in terms of the accuracy and just realisticness of it. And yeah, it's very interesting. So one of the first things that comes to mind is the fact that these are my own words, partially going to be removing the Abraham Lincoln attraction show, I suppose. So they're splitting it in half, and they're going to be doing every other show will be Abraham Lincoln, then every other show will be Walt Disney. That in and of itself is, I feel like that's very controversial already to begin with, just in the sense of like, I feel like, um, so for a lot of super fans, I'll explain why this is controversial to me, in terms of kind of cutting out half of the Abraham Lincoln showtime. So for a lot of super fans, or even other people who have seen the Imagineering documentary on Disney Plus, there's a story and an aspect where the company kind of had to move away. I believe this would have been in like maybe even the 70s and 80s potentially. The company sort of had to start moving away from this mentality and approach of what would Walt do. And so it wasn't until, and I'm really, really generalizing here, but in a sense, from what we might gather from the Imagineering documentary on Disney Plus, um, sort of sometime after moving away from that mentality and kind of looking at Disney in a new way, things started to get better and started to get to a bit better of a place as opposed to, kind of being a little bit stuck and a little bit slow and things like that. And I think, the company and a lot of people there just kind of felt lost, from what I understand a little bit for, having had quite some time pass from, when Walt had passed away. And so I get that, but I think that super fans can really run with certain things. We tend to kind of really grasp onto specific aspects of Disney history or like Walt Disney quotes and things like that. So I think this is one of those things where people have really taken it to the extreme of like, what would Walt do is dead. Like, we should never think about what would Walt do. Like, this is a completely new era, and it's just forbidden and ridiculous to think what would Walt do. Um, but I think in terms of having a Walt Disney animatronic, it kind of changes it because this is a Walt Disney animatronic that's of Walt Disney. So I definitely can't help but ask, what would Walt think about this? Not only that, but it's also at Disneyland, which is Walt's original park, the park that he knew about. And not only that, but this is going to be partially semi replacing um, an attraction that Walt would have opened. So um, the Abraham Lincoln animatronic opened in 1965. Um, and that was, towards the end of Walt's life, but he would have been alive for that, and he would have been a part of this. So I don't know what he would think. I don't know what he would think about removing half of the Abraham Lincoln show in place of putting one for himself. Um, I mean, knowing that there's all these other parks, knowing that there's different ways to do it. Um, but I suppose maybe all things considered, maybe it is the best way to go, Maybe it's a good thing to have this new attraction, which will pull people towards seeing the Abraham Lincoln attraction. Maybe it'll revitalize and have more people watch that show. So maybe it's a good thing. Maybe he would approve. I don't know. I think for me, though, the bigger question, and I do come back to that question a lot of like, would Walt approve of the Abraham Lincoln, um, you know, removal, partial removal? Would he approve of that? And for some reason, that always just tends to bother me. As much as I sound like I can rationalize it and be okay, I think what makes me bothered about it is there's a big aspect of American history and I guess Americanism, if you want to put it that way, in the parks that is part of Walt Disney's life, love, and legacy, I guess. And it just seems like just seems like Disney is getting rid of those things bit by bit. So this is just another bit gone to me. Um, but yeah, anyway, I guess maybe that's a topic for another day. I've mentioned it in the past as far as I remember. It might have been on my um, other channel, but either way, um, yeah, I think that's the main reason why it bothers me, is because I really feel like, um, you know, the original intent of the Disney parks is, especially Disneyland, is being lost throughout the parks, at least in America, in California and Florida. So anyhow, um, that's that portion. As far as the animatronic itself, the other most impactful thing for me is going to be how well is it done. Like, if this is something that is done in a fashion that, no offense, but I feel like Disney has kind of been slacking a little bit. And I don't think it's the Imagineering. I think it's like budgets and people who make final decisions, is what I'm assuming. Um, I don't think it's like the talent and skill of Imagineers or even, ideas of them. I think it's other restrictions, again, like decision makers and um, budget and things like that, those types of restrictions. But it does seem like the final result of Disney Imagineering has kind of been a little bit not full effort, I guess. Um, yeah, something along those lines. So that's kind of what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the quality of the animatronic, um, and even of the show. So yeah, I think that's the big one where for me, in order to kind of honor Walt Disney, um, given today's abilities and technology and things like that, I do feel like this is something that should be really, really, really insanely high quality. This should be something that should bring people to the parks who don't even normally come to the Disney parks. It should be something that people hear about and literally buy a ticket just to come see it. Um, almost similar to the way that Abraham the Abraham Lincoln animatronic would have been showcased at the World Fair. So I think that yeah, that's my biggest concern is the quality of it. Um, it does seem a bit weird. I kind of mentioned the business thing early on. So when I think about it from that type of perspective, it does make me worried that this is kind of just, it's just another attraction. It's just another money grab kind of a thing, um, especially for, guests who are, single day, just vacationer guests, um, as opposed to what Chapek called the annual pass holder unfavorable guests or whatever he called them, which sounds like a total mouse problem, which is ironic because of Mickey Mouse. But anyway, um, yeah, so that's kind of my concern is the quality of it, that it's not just going to be this money grab like, oh, a new attraction here, a new attraction there. Let's just keep popping in new things, just, to kind of keep the buzz around Disneyland going for people to keep buying single day tickets and vacationing and things like that. So, of course, that's all part of it. It's all part of the game. It's all part of the strategy. It's all part of the business. I get that. Um, but Disney's legacy is originally, at least, built on quality, um, and of course, entertainment and quality of entertainment and quality entertainment. So, yeah, I just that's my other concern for this attraction. The other thing I wanted to um, discuss is the controversy, which kind of goes hand in hand with the quality aspect of this animatronic, which is this article, which I feel really bad because this person is, really not happy with this. But so basically, one of Walt's family members is very unhappy with the animatronic. And there's actually also another. Um, I guess, excerpt in this article that is all the way from 1995. So I'm guessing this must have been something that's been in talks for, 30 years at this point. Um, there's an excerpt from a previous Imagineer that I think may have been in regard to a Walt Disney animatronic. So, um, this is basically an article about how Walt Disney's granddaughter is really hurt about this, and it does make me think because she basically, again, I'll put the link in the show notes, but she basically is also worried about the quality. She's basically also worried about, the business aspect of it, that it's just kind of like a branding gimmick or, that sort of a thing, a money grab, that sort of a thing. I mean, I'm paraphrasing. Those exact words are not in the article. You can read it yourself, but those are things that naturally came to my mind without even finding out about this article yet and what she said. So, I feel like there's some real concern here. Um, there's an interesting part of the article, which I will read once I find it. So, well, here's the part about being branded. So, she says, Walt is already branded and used by the company every day. So she kind of feels like, Walt is just being branded. Furthermore, much furthermore with the animatronic. Um, and she says, that she was hoping the company would be sensitive to, she says, I felt the company slash Bob Iger in parentheses was sensitive to the memory of Walt and the sentiments of his daughter, my mother, Diane. So she's kind of, I guess, saying that, Diane would not have been in support either. She talks about how the smile is wrong on the audio animatronic. And that's the biggest thing for me. Like, even if I take out the sentiment stuff, even if I'm not caring about the branding, business, money grab aspect of stuff, like, she's saying she's worried about the smile. Like, the smile is not accurate. And so a lot of super fans, I would say, are very familiar with, the images and videos of Walt Disney. So I can't help but wonder, is this going to be a lower quality version of the image of Walt Disney that's just going to be kind of for non-super fan people that are just, one day a year, or, vacationers who, they're just there to just enjoy a attraction really quick for 10 minutes. So yeah, I am a little bit worried about that. I understand that there's, you know, uh, technology, like new technology, I guess, that's being used for like the movement of the fingers and things like that, which is really cool. But technology, as I've discussed on a past episode specifically about Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, technology is not really, the highest indicator of quality. It's how you use that technology. Just because something is extremely high tech, it doesn't mean that it's the highest quality. So I think Disney really gets that mixed up these days. Um, Sounds like I'm being harsh on Disney right now in this episode, which I normally am. Um, but yeah, just as a reminder, this podcast is, very high value for classic Disney and that sort of a vibe. Um, but yeah, at the same time, when this opens and I'm finally able to, I don't know if it'll be this year, next year, the year after that. Don't know when I'll be able to see the attraction. I'm not sure if I'll watch videos or not before I go. I probably will give in, and I probably will. But either way, I feel like more than likely it'll, definitely tug on some emotions for me once I actually do see the show, unless it's really, really bad. And even then, it will probably tug on some emotions. So I think Disney knows all this about people and about super fans and stuff. So that's what worries me, is that they lower the quality, thinking like, well, it's still gonna be an aspect that creates buzz around the park. Like, we have all these new things, this is just one of them for, vacationers to come see, for their one trip ever to Disneyland, or one trip a year, or whatever it is. Um, and, likewise for the super fans, it's still, gonna be a show of Walt Disney and an attraction of Walt Disney himself. So it's still gonna, tug on the heartstrings of super fans. So that's kind of my worry, is that they will kind of, skimp out a little bit on the quality, or even a lot of it. So this is actually, I think they're talking about in this article how there's a Facebook post from Walt's granddaughter that she did. And then after that, it says the page also shared a quote from Imagineer Blaine Gibson, taken from a 1995 interview. This is what I'm confused about. Has this been in talk for 30 years? But anyway, the quote from Blaine Gibson says, "There are several reasons I would be against doing that. And it isn't just the scared aspect of it. I know just how crude our medium is relative to the human figure. You can't get Walt's smile. You can't program that smile that I've got on Walt's statue and have him be able to go into that. You'd have to move from a scowl to a smile, because Walt at times would get a twisted up expression and one eyebrow would go up. He had a facial range that was absolutely beyond our capability, which makes sense. Walt Disney was an animator, and so he probably was extremely gifted with things like facial expressions himself. Um, so I think for me, if they can really just at least dial it in to be something that looks super realistic, and also something that looks very accurate. I don't doubt actually the realistic aspect. I think they'll make it look extremely realistic, like surprisingly and shockingly realistic. Um, but I think the accuracy is going to be the kind of X factor. So, but I think if they can get those two things dialed in, I think that it could be a good attraction. And I really do hope that it honors Walt Disney. I think this is a really big undertaking, and to be honest, I feel terrible saying this about Disney, but I kind of don't expect that they would create something out of this attraction that's worthy of representing the person of Walt Disney himself. Um, but I could be wrong. I could be proven wrong. Um, and we'll just have to wait and see. So that is kind of the gist of it today. Um, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I feel like this Walt Disney animatronic is pretty controversial when you really think about it. I'm surprised that there's not more controversy over this. I did watch the D23 announcement of this live. I did get pretty emotional watching it, watching the announcement and just seeing like the concept art of it. And it looks really cool. Does look really cool. It looks like there's opportunity to nail it. It just makes me really nervous the fact that like they've announced it and like bam, it's coming out soon. So there's no more like I don't know, it's too late in the game pretty much for them to, like, change a bunch of stuff, I would think. Like, I'm pretty sure I feel like everything's probably already done for this project for the most part. Um, if they're getting ready to launch it in a couple months, I would say it's kind of just the actual construction and implementing the, you know, attraction into installing it into the, Hall of Pres or the, the show building. So yeah, it's pretty intense. If you're a big Walt Disney fan, it's pretty intense for obviously some of the family of Walt Disney. Um, I feel terrible that they feel like, he's just being used as like a brand, like a marketing branding ploy kind of a thing. Um, but I do really do hope that from the artistic and creative standpoint that they really do a good job and do it justice when this opens. It could be a great opportunity as well to kind of get new fans. Again, those people who are kind of just vacationers and once in a while Disneyland visitors or once in a lifetime Disneyland visitors. I'm guessing that they, have the opportunity to um, get some new fans and new followers. And I would say if they do a good job with this, then that will happen. And yeah, it's just it's pretty crazy. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how this all works out. It is controversial. I'm sure the show is going to be, meant to be inspiring and things like that. And I'm just nervous. I really am nervous about how this is going to turn out. But I do hope that it turns out good. Um, so also just the last couple things. I think I have heard that there's going to be like his actual tie that he used in real life that's going to be on the audio animatronic. Now that's kind of next level. If that's actually true, um, because yeah, I feel like that is kind of controversial. Like, that is something that I can see that's, potentially disrespectful to the family members. It's kind of like you're getting a little bit too close to recreating the actual person of Walt Disney himself, and like, are you crossing a line? I think I read somewhere that he's going to be um, wearing, like one of his favorite ties and in his own actual shoes. Um, and there's going to be actual audio and sound of Walt's actual voice is what they're going to use. So, yeah, I am just highly, highly anticipating this attraction. We'll see how it goes. Let me know what you think in the comments if you'd like about what side of the controversy you stand on or what your thoughts are. Um, and I think that's going to do it for this one. So, um, thanks for listening. If you have, go ahead and give this show a follow or subscribe if you'd like. Leave some comments. And thanks so much for listening again if you have. And I'll just leave you with this thought as usual. Whatever is good, whatever is true, whatever is pure, think on these things. All right, guys. Till next time, take care.